Do I have the guts? Do I have the courage to actually post this video that I am about to share with all of you? Well, I'm gonna make the video, and if you see it, that means I had the courage to post it. Oh boy, Tessie, you're getting on the wild side now. The girl that doesn't like controversy. Sometimes there's controversy in something you have no idea why there would be. So let me tell you what's on my mind. Wednesday video. Generally, people don't watch Wednesday videos. Maybe because my Wednesday videos are normally boring, or people are just really busy. But I said to my husband, I said, you know what? I'm gonna make this video. And he said, go for it, Tessie. Why don't you? And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm really good at making a video, but to upload it on YouTube, then sometimes I get a little fearful and I lose my courage. So I'm just going to say this now. Why are some women so offended about the plain Mennonite and the plain Mennonite background? Why are some women so offended by me sharing my past with the world? When I say some women, it's only a handful of them, but it's so interesting. Is it a Jezebel spirit? Is it somebody who they are the dictator of their home and they don't have a kind, soft heart? Is there misunderstanding? Is there just jealousy? Is there rage? What is it? You know, there's a lot of controversy in this world, you know, about what's happening in the political arena. I don't talk about that. But through the years on my YouTube channel, I talked about my Mennonite heritage. Through the years, because that is me. That is in me. That's everything I ever known. You know, I've only been on YouTube a short time, 7 years. The arena of my whole life, Mennonite life, is what I've known. YouTube, I really don't know much about. And when I started my YouTube channel, I would talk freely about my Mennonite background. I mean, go back to 2017. You can see it all, it's there. And my Mennonite story, and that was just who I was and who I am. You know, it's absolutely so amazing how certain subjects can trigger people. Our son did a video recently and he was just dancing and having fun, and he said, Mom, he said, people were so rude. Like, I was just having fun and being happy. Why did that trigger people? I don't know. Why does Mennonite trigger some people? You know, there is a channel called Megan Fox Unlocked, and Megan Fox's parents grew up in the church environment that my parents did, so the old order Mennonites. Now, I'm not going to get into deep detail because that's her life, but people have forums saying that she's not Mennonite. It's not just me, it's everyone who has that involved with the old order Mennonite church, because my relatives were all there, my grandma and grandpa. My grandma and grandpa, all of their funerals were in the old Mennonite church, where the women sat on the one side and the men sat on the other. But all my life, I was very interested in the Mennonite background, because so much of my mom and dad taught me was the Mennonite roots. Even though some of the doctrine they didn't believe in, they were born and they will die as Mennonites because of the roots, because the fundamental roots they believed in. There's just some doctrine that they didn't accept as their own. So they were very much a big part of my life, and just learning, you know, and just being around it. I mean, my relatives, my dad had 16 brothers and sisters. We had a big family, you know, and so growing up, I really embraced that lifestyle. Then I married a Mennonite. His mom wore covering, his grandma wore covering up until she died, and his mom wore covering up until her older years, which oftentimes will happen in some Mennonites. We went to a Mennonite church, you know, our married life, our young married life. And I married someone who was a lot like my family. And so when I share about this, it's like some people are like, well, explain this to me. Tell me this, tell me that. Well, you wear lipstick, you have jewelry. Well, I am not an order Mennonite, but yet the roots of it, the fundamental parts of it, I believe in. And that brings me to yesterday's video. So yesterday's video, I was talking just about, you know, that riches, you know, about not striving for riches. And I made a statement about just my husband's philosophy, because that is very Mennonite. The Mennonite live a simple life, but the men, a lot of the men, you know, they believe in being really frugal. All the Mennonites believe in being very frugal, but they believe in earning good money. And that is just my exposure to it, all of it, okay? So I'm not saying that's maybe in the community that you're from or whatever. You know, this is just my exposure. These are my thoughts. I was taught and raised that the husband is the head of the home. Christ is the head of the husband is the head of the home, and the wife is a helpmeet. I grew up that the husband is in control of all the finances. My husband controls all of our finances. That's just how I was taught. I also was taught that the women are to be keepers of the home and they are to stay at home. Now, that is something I've always wanted to do. I've never wanted to work outside the home, but I never even had a job outside the home. In fact, I never even earned a paycheck up until YouTube. I never earned a cent up until YouTube. I never worked away, but I'm not in control of the finances. Now, the finances are something, as we get older, it's more that we're both equally involved in, but my husband is the head of the home, and he is the head of our finances. And I think that a lot of women in today's society think that that is degrading towards women. And it's just, oh, what you're used to is what I'm trying to say. You know, everybody is used to something different. I don't want to be in control of the finances, you know, as far as being in total control of it. I often thought about it through the years, especially before YouTube, when I didn't earn any money and I didn't have any say in anything as far as money or financial things like that. I often thought about it, what it would be like to earn a living. And now I do earn a living, and I do have a little more control of the money that I earn, but I'm not in control of it. I don't pay the bills, my husband does. I earn the paycheck, and you know, every marriage is different. So every marriage has their system that works. And I think that in the society that we live in today, I think that we should just, how people are raised and how they want to live their life, I think is really important that they are given that opportunity. I have been born and I will die with the Mennonite background and the Mennonite way of thinking, as far as just the motherly, the being at home, and the frugal part of it. And so, yes, Mennonite women do work away now. Yes, there are some women that have children that work away. In my circle, I was not around that. And that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just, in my circle, in my community, the women stayed at home and didn't even earn a paycheck, even when their children were gone and raised. But in some circles, the Mennonite women work away. I know there was a lot of young women, and they were probably 16, 17. They would clean houses and they would help take care of children. But as far as back in my time, I know I sound like I'm really old, you know, things were different then. And so I'm just really fascinated that, you know, I know people have a lot of questions, and I would tell you to go back and watch my videos, because I shared so much of my life and I really don't put emphasis on it. But somebody made a statement. They said, when you don't have as much money, Tessie, you seem to go back into your old ways as far as talking about frugal and being stayed at home. And that is 100% true. I think that just brings me back to how I was raised, and it brings me back to the times when, you know, I had a hard time getting 2 pennies together. And that's just simply because my husband was extremely frugal and I had an allowance. I have an allowance now. It's so embarrassing. I have an allowance now. So when YouTube was doing better, I had an allowance on Thrifty Thursday of $20. And now, since my revenue is really bad, I have my allowance of $10. And sometimes I might go to like $10.60 or $11, but you won't be seeing me spending as much because there are some things that took place in our life that, you know, it's just things happen. And my goal is to give you encouragement, especially to women. My channel is mostly centered towards women. There are some men who watch my channel, just to give you some encouragement and say, hey, you're not alone. I have the courage to speak up, and I have the courage to talk about some things that maybe are a little bit sensitive or taboo in this society that we live in. So there you go, everyone. There's a little bit of me just rambling, and I just wanted to get it off my chest today.